Hey travelers, welcome back to another episode of my podcast, Life's a Voyage. I'm Tot. You all know me, I like to travel, and now we're back with another episode with Dip.
I also like to travel.
We talked all about her business on another podcast episode, and today we're going to bring it back to traveling. She has a very beautiful little business, Dippy Girl Art, which you can find all the links down below if you'd like to go support her, and then listen to the other episode about all things business.
Yes, all things Dip.
So today we're going to talk a little bit about travel. So, that one's going to come out first, so they kind of know who you are and what you're about. Mm-hmm. But, let's talk about your travel, history. Let's start with, what sparked your interest in travel, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I've always loved traveling. My family used to go on vacation every year at the end of August to either North Carolina or Virginia. A couple times went to Florida. So that was always really fun. And then we would always drive, and the drive was always like the worst and best part, so chaotic, but there were always so many memories and stuff. So
how big's your family?
I have three brothers. And
okay.
So it's me, three boys. They're all younger than me. I'm 23. Two of them are 22, and one is 21.
Okay.
And then my parents, yeah.
Chaos.
Yes, very chaotic. And but they would always take us, and we had so many good memories. And then when I was senior in high school, I went to France and England for my senior trip, and my mom came with me.
That's a sweet senior trip.
It was awesome.
I went to fucking Wildwood, New Jersey.
Yeah, no, boo to that. Yeah, every year there were a couple teachers that would take the seniors on a trip internationally. Every other year, I think they do Italy. They did Poland one year.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's really cool. And I was very lucky, and that definitely really made me feel okay, there's so much out here. The world is so big, and this is so cool and so fun. And so that was the first time I was whoa, this is awesome.
Sick.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so that was your senior year. You were probably 17 or 18.
Yeah, I was 17.
And at that point, that was the first time you left the country.
Yeah. So other than Canada, which we're in upstate New York, so it's literally an hour away and doesn't really count. Yeah, it doesn't count. So that was the first time that I had gone internationally, and that was my first time on a plane. I had never flown before then, but it was such a great experience, and just really made me want to go everywhere. Yeah, literally everywhere.
And as such a young girl and traveling, and obviously you were in a group and with your mom, so that probably felt really safe, but what was there any moment on that trip where you kind of were kind of awestruck, or anything that really burned into your memory?
From that trip, there are several instances that I remember just being wow. I remember we went to Notre Dame, which was really cool, and we also went to, I can't remember the exact name of it, but it's this little island, but in, I think, the summer, all of the water.
Mont Saint-Michel?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Thank you. Glad you knew that. We went there, and I remember being there, and just being this is literally a different world. This is I am in 1800s, Harry Potter, but it's real. It's real, and it was just so beautiful. That was one of those times where I was wow. And I was 17, so I didn't appreciate it as much as I do now, but it was definitely cool. Oh, and seeing the Eiffel Tower, that was cool.
Eiffel Tower at night for the first time with the glittering and everything is just
amazing,
teary-eyed. And
yeah,
this is romance.
Yeah, we went up to the top of the Eiffel Tower, we went inside it and stuff, and that was so awesome. And I definitely want to go back to France again now that I'm older and just more appreciative of things, because I think when I was 17 I was wow, I'm in France, let's, I don't know, let's drink, or I don't know what I thought I was doing, but
it's just so new and exciting, and you don't even know what's going on
exactly,
half of the time.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was nice because it was a really good way to be introduced to traveling, because the leader of the trip was our French teacher, and she had a bunch of family in France. So she knew everything, and we had a tour guide who was really cool. And everything was set up for us, and we had free time. So there was we had some freedom for being like 17 like in a foreign country. Like we were able to go like for like 2 hours alone. But you know, I was with my mom, and it was just great. It was great to be there with her.
That's a good experience.
Yeah.
I feel like London, France, and like Ireland or Scotland are really good first countries to travel to, because like those were my first countries. Like London was my first country, or the UK. Who am I?
London, the country.
The country London.
Yes.
But London was my first city, and then we went to Ireland, and then we went to France, and it was just like, it's such a good way to ease into foreign travel, because you aren't hitting like the culture shock of a different language right away. And like in France, like, yeah, people speak French, but like I would say like 80% of people speak English. So like if you just start speaking English, typically like they'll just respond in English.
They're able to like,
especially when you're going to like the touristy places.
Yeah, they know.
Then they know. And like that just makes it so much more comfortable and like easier to just like kind of immerse yourself in it.
Yeah. And I think like also like the fact that they did speak English, or like the language barrier wasn't too severe, and we had someone who did speak French with us, and I had my mom there to like make me just feel safe in general. I think that it just was a really good like first experience, and it like set me up for the rest. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you've kind of done a couple different types of travel that I would like to talk about. One of them that I'm most excited to talk about is like solo female travel. You know, traveling alone as a woman is hard, and presents itself with like different challenges that like, you know, men don't have to face, especially when they're not like tiny little girls. Yes. So this is something that I like to talk about a lot, because I was one of those young girls that was scared out of traveling alone. Like everyone just turned me off of it. And I kind of waited much longer than I wanted to do the things I wanted to do, because I didn't have anyone to do them with. So let's kind of talk about your solo travel experience.
Yeah. So I moved to Australia in February 2019. And I did a couple group trips, but then towards the end, I went from Bali to Sydney. And I was in Sydney alone. I was in Bali with a couple friends, but I flew from Bali to Sydney by myself, and I was in Sydney for about 4 days. And then I went to Cairns, which is a little ways up. I flew there, and I was there for 3 or 4 days. And it was like the best thing I've ever done in my entire life. I would travel alone like in a second, like regardless of all the risks, and there are risks, and I will certainly touch on that. But when I went to Sydney, that was like one of the most life-changing experiences I've ever had. And I stayed in a hostel, and it was awesome. Like it was a really cool hostel. I had a 4-person room to myself. The morning I got there, there was a girl in the room, and she was leaving. She was from, I think, like Italy or something, and she invited me to have breakfast with her. Aww. And like we just got to talking and stuff. And so that was like right out the gate, like awesome experience. Like, okay, that was fun. And when I was in Sydney, I went to the White Rabbit Gallery, which is put on by Chippendale, I think. And that was, I'm obviously into art. Yes. And so I love to go to museums and stuff, and I love doing that on my own. So I went to the Sydney Museum of Contemporary Art, I think it's called, and that was amazing. And I was there for hours, and I walked there from my hostel or whatever, and I spent so long in there, and I saw an art piece that like I still think about to this day. So that was like really like a big point. And then I remember after that sitting outside eating like a Subway sandwich. No, that's a lie. I was eating a Burger King Impossible Whopper.
In Sydney, Australia.
Yes. And I was sitting in the grass listening to Kid Cudi and looking at the Sydney Opera House, and I was like, what the fuck?
You're like, bro, I'm fucking out here.
I literally was like looking around like, yo, I'm literally in Australia by myself right now, like outside the art museum eating a burger. Like I am happy right now.
That is beautiful.
Yeah. And so it was just like really cathartic. I went to the Sydney Botanical Gardens and I did a lot of journaling there. I went to Bondi Beach and I had a really positive experience there. It was beautiful. And I met someone else. I was at a restaurant and this guy came over and just started talking to me, not like in a creepy or weird way, like just wanted to just like make conversation. And that was like so cool because people just don't really do that in the States. No. Like they really don't. And even when I was just like on the west coast of Australia, like it just wasn't like that. And I don't know if it was because I was alone or like what, but it was really nice. And like I'll also never forget that. Like it was just so cool to have someone like just literally come in and just be like let's talk. It never really happened to me before. So
I feel like that is like I guess not European because Australia is not European, but like
I think he was European though.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
I feel like it's a very European thing for not only for people to dine alone, which I used to do a lot when
I love it.
When I was younger. I used to like go to movies alone. Like I loved spending time alone. And then I met Adam and I was like, well, now I can't ever do anything alone.
And now we're just going to be besties. Yeah.
But like in Europe, like people will just approach you because they're also like alone. And it's like, oh, why not just like approach random people? And like people are more talkative like on the subway or like in transit. Like I'll like talk to people in lines. But in America, like I'm like that bitch that's like, I want to talk to everyone. But in America, like no one wants to talk to me. Yeah. Like no one is interested in starting conversation.
Yeah. And I think that was like one of the biggest, not like culture shocks, but definitely something I realized where it was like, okay, these people are like, I don't know if it's like the air or like what's going on, but they're cooler and they're friendlier and like just generally all around better vibes going on, like for sure. So Sydney was like seriously life-changing. That was one of the best trips I've ever been on. And I was so happy that I did it alone because that was my first solo experience and it was like so overwhelmingly positive. Like it gave me, again, the like courage or confidence that I could continue to do things like that. Because I was also like so scared. Like I'm literally on the other side of the world completely alone. Like that is stressful. Like,
and you hear all the horror stories.
Right. So lots of horror stories. So
when you moved to Australia, what were you doing there? Were you working, studying?
I was going to school. So I did like a study abroad program my sophomore year of college. And I was there from February to June. And I was taking classes at Murdoch University, which is in Perth, Western Australia. But schooling there is very different and very, very, very chill. So it was not a lot of schooling at all. The way their system was set up, it was like you had class once a week for like 2 hours. Yeah, literally. Like
that sounds amazing.
Yeah. And you have like 3 homework assignments for the entire year. And like they kind of count a lot, but
it's only 3 of them.
Yeah, so it's like fine. And like attendance isn't really mandatory or anything. And you can look up all the notes online. So it was like, bro, I'm not going to class right now. Like, I'm going to the beach. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
So I was going to school and I was a biology major in college. So I was taking marine biology. I took Indigenous philosophy, I think it was called, which was really cool. What else did I take? I can't even remember what else I took. But
I'm so fascinated by the Indigenous culture of Australia. It was so fascinating.
It was really cool. And I didn't work when I was there. I had like saved up a bunch of money beforehand, but I was just going to school. And that class, my professor would always come in barefoot. He never wore shoes. So that was always like,
I love that.
No socks and no shoes. But that was a really cool class and I learned a lot. And all my classes were just like very unique. Like I could never take a marine biology class at the college that I went to. They just didn't have anything like that.
There's no oceans here.
Correct.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. But it was, the education I got was really cool, very interesting. And yeah, then we also had a lot of breaks. Like the way it worked out, like I was able to travel so much because we would just have like 10-day breaks. I had 2 or 3 10-day breaks the time I was there.
That's
plus
insane.
other breaks like that were like a couple days, but there were 2 or 3 10-day ones. So I would use those to travel for 10 days. But yeah, it was a lot of life and not a lot of school.
Okay, that's cool. I feel like that I just did an episode with my friend Becca, and she was talking about how she studied abroad in Spain.
Oh, nice.
And she said it was like very chill, and it would be like everyone would just leave school and then like go get dinner and then go to the bar and then go to the club on a Tuesday night, and then everyone would kind of roll out of bed hungover and like go to class the next day together. So like I feel like that's the best way to experience studying abroad, because I didn't study abroad because I was like, I'm not going to do school. Like I'd rather just study or just travel. So I was like, let me just get out of school as fast as possible and then
go travel.
So that was kind of my approach to it, but that sounds like the best way to kind of do it.
Yeah, it was definitely good. And like very thankful that I was able to get an education at another school and kind of just like see what that was like. And it was a much bigger university than where I went to school in the States. So it was just a lot, like it was a very different experience, and it was really cool. And they had bubble tea on campus, which was literally like dangerous, but amazing.
We had it at RAT.
Yeah, like, oh yeah,
Very
you have Tai Chi?
dangerous.
Or
No,
what do you have?
I don't know.
Kung Fu?
No, it's not even like a chain. I don't even know if they still have it, but it was like in our global market. They had just like one little bubble tea stand.
Yeah, see, like I'd be done for, like bubble tea daily.
Yeah, I definitely gained some serious weight.
Yeah.
For the amount of tapioca pearls I ate.
I gained several pounds abroad, which is fine for sure. But I was drinking a lot of, they call wine goon there. I was drinking a lot of goon and eating a lot of Macca's, which is McDonald's. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, but it was good. I was living my best life. Yeah, I was happy.
So while you were studying abroad in Australia, did you live with a host family?
No, so I lived on campus. We had like an apartment. And the program that we did, there were, I think, 12 girls total in the program.
All foreign?
No, all American.
Okay.
So actually, that's a lie. One girl was from London.
Okay.
So one girl was from London, but all the rest of us were American. We were all from the East Coast. Like it was all New Jersey, New York, like Rhode Island. So I had one roommate. Her name was Coral, and we lived in this little apartment with 3 other roommates who were all from Asia. I think I don't remember where they were from actually, but they were all from different parts of Asia, and they were all very nice, very cool. But it was like 4 rooms, then we had a kitchen and like a living area, and there were 2 bathrooms. It was pretty big.
Yeah.
And it was definitely really fun to like have a...
Is that like the people you traveled with? Like the people in your cohort, or like who were you traveling with?
So I went through AIFS, which is one of the biggest like travel, like study abroad companies or whatever. And they had like a lot of trips set up already. So if you were in AIFS, you could just go on these trips that they had already had planned. So we did one, like me and all those people, and actually like a couple other people from different study abroad companies were able to do it too. But we did like all of the northwest and all of the southwest of Australia, like the coastline, over. I think those were 10-day trips. And it was like all driving through, and it was just like we had a big bus, and we had there was one girl who was like closer to our age, a little older, who was like our chaperone or whatever, but she was like literally 2 years older than us.
Yeah, she had just done it before or something.
Yeah, literally like the year before. So that was really cool, and it was nice because they also had like a travel agent at the school, so you could just go in there and be like, yo, I want to go to Thailand, and they would be like, okay, well, here's what we have for Thailand, like here's you can like pick like this experience in this package or whatever, like we'll book all the flights for you, all that. So it was really like traveling was very accessible, and obviously like there are a lot of things that are close to like Australia, I guess, kind of. Close
relative to like
to
being on the other side of the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it was cool to like have a lot of different options that obviously like I wouldn't really be able to consider while I was here.
Was it more affordable?
Yes and no. Like it was kind of expensive because it was like they were like booking everything for you, and like obviously like, you know, you have to take like a fee for all that and whatever. And so there were a couple times where I felt like they were trying to get me to stay in a hostel that like maybe they got like higher commission on, because it was like an AIFS like partnered one or whatever. So sometimes I felt kind of like they were just trying to like
get their bag.
Yeah, get their bag, exactly. So there were a couple instances where I would just like do my own research and just like book my own hotel or hostel or whatever we were doing. But for the most part, I felt like it was really, really helpful because there were things that I didn't even know that I could do. Like, for example, when I left Sydney to go to Cairns, like I had obviously booked the trips like in conjunction. And for Cairns, I did the Great Barrier Reef.
Right.
And that was like a whole experience that I paid for. It was like $600 and it included like snorkeling in the reef for the day. I was supposed to go in like a helicopter, like food, like the boat, all this stuff. Like it was like a whole package that otherwise I would have had to
book everything separately,
and it would have been a mess, and it would have
transportation between things.
Like, so it was all in one spot. So it was like I'd rather just pay more money for the convenience of it because I don't want to fuck it up, like because I could. And so I think
also sometimes when they do things like that, when they like have that package, it's just a better experience because they like they know how much time you're going to take at each thing. They put you like in their transportation. So like sometimes it's like, oh, I could do this way cheaper, but it's also like, but it's going to be a pain in the ass and it's not going to be as enjoyable.
And that's the thing. It was like I wanted it to be like not stressful. And like I said, I had saved up money for this exact purpose. Like I can spend more so that I don't waste my time like either messing something up. Because like I don't really know. Like I was 18 years old, 19 years old, like trying to book a trip. Like I don't know anything. So I could have very easily messed it up or done something wrong. Like so it was just better for them to do it. But I also like learned a lot just from watching them. And now I have much more knowledge about like where to look for things and like how to book things and stuff.
Yourself,
So yeah, it was good.
How did you save up money before going? And like what was kind of your savings plan? Because a lot of people that like listen or something, they're like, oh, well, yeah, I could probably get to studying abroad with like scholarship, but like I don't know how to like save money to travel while I'm there. Like that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So
do you have any like things that you did?
I just knew that I was gonna go abroad. Like I knew like a year and a half before I was going. So I kind of always had that in the back of my mind, like just put money away. And I was working. I love to work. Working is like my hobby at this point.
Business owners tend to be just workaholics.
Exactly. So I worked a lot the summer before. I worked at a golf course, and I just like would work like 50, 60-hour weeks and just grind and save up money because it was like when I'm there, I do not want to be not doing stuff because I don't have the money. So it was really just like discipline, like just looking at the bigger picture and being like, okay, I'm not going to buy this coffee right now because in 6 months I'm going to want to go skydiving. And like,
or I'm going to buy this coffee in Australia.
Exactly. So it was really just a lot of like talking myself out of spending money. And just like working my ass off pretty much.
I find that like whenever I really want to save for something, maybe not so much anymore, but when I was younger, I would just like work so much that I didn't have time to spend money. I'd be like, this is great.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm making money and I'm not spending it.
Yeah, and that was the other thing is I was working so much I wasn't doing anything. Like, so I was just saving all the money. But I think the biggest tip is just like literally discipline, and also kind of try to set like a goal for yourself so you like definitely have some money to play with. Because you don't want to go anywhere and not have any money to do anything. That would suck.
That happened when we went to Europe. We had the money, but like we didn't want to spend it because, well, we had like a budget for the trip, and it was like, I don't know, like $2,500 per person or something like that, including everything we did for 2 weeks. And like, we did a great job. I was like, looking back, like I was kind of, we like spent a lot of money on that trip for like how much we did, but it was actually like for like one of my first trips I ever like planned by myself internationally. Like We did pretty good.
Yeah, pulled it off.
Yeah. But I was like in Paris and I wanted to see a show at the Moulin Rouge, but like I hadn't budgeted that in. I was like, oh, like if we get there and we have enough money left, like we'll go. Yeah. We did not. And I was like, oh, we'll just go next time. And to this day, I'm like, I should have gone. Because then the pandemic hit. We were supposed to go back in 2020 and do that then. And obviously couldn't. And like, now I'm like, I'm never going to
you definitely
not spend
gotta
the
go.
money. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing is my mom is so supportive. And like the whole time she was always like, she's the one who like encouraged me to go abroad and to just like do it. Cause I was so scared. But she was like, bro, you're literally going to hate yourself if you don't go. Like you have to do this. And she was always like, Adele, like the money situation, like you just need to experience it. And like, you can worry about the money later. Like, because this is a once in a lifetime. And she's right. Like looking back on it, it really was such a unique experience that I'll never be able to have again, that like the money is so irrelevant. Yeah, that
it is.
Whatever.
And that's like one of the things, like I just posted something the other day that was like, travel because your money will return, your time won't. And like obviously don't be like fiscally irresponsible and like blow all your money on traveling, like pay your bills. But at the same time, it's like, just fucking do it. Like just go spend that money. Literally. And like don't worry about if you're supposed to buy a house or like some other bullshit that you're supposed to do with your money.
Some
it's
societal norm bullshit.
Like I just spend all my money on travel pretty much.
And that's the goal. I definitely that's another reason I love having my own business, because I'm hoping that it'll give me the flexibility to travel. Like I really haven't been anywhere because of the pandemic recently, but I'm hoping in the next like year or two to get out of the country and just like see something. Like I've been in Rochester for so long.
I feel that. I feel that. I mean, we're starting to be able to travel more, but like feeling stuck here sometimes is hard.
Especially because it was like like you were doing so much before, and then it was just like, okay, now we're stagnant.
Yeah, it feels like that sometimes. But great time to focus on business.
It is.
Okay, what other, so besides your Australia experience, have you done any other travel experiences?
Yeah, so after I said I went to Bali, right? Bali was also the best place ever. That whole string, really, I went from Bali to Sydney to Cairns. That was just a good time for me. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a good time.
Yeah, like really couldn't complain. But Bali, I went with 3 of my friends, and it was such a great experience. It was very different. Most people there didn't speak English. And we were in Bali, I think for 3 or 4 days, but we kind of traveled around a little bit. And we stayed, or was that in Thailand? No, this was in Bali. We stayed at a couple islands, which was really nice to see like more local, vibes, I guess, the more local way of life. And I was with 3 girls, so it was like really nice. And I definitely didn't feel like, there were times where we would be out like at night and we would have to walk kind of far back to our place, and it was like a little stressful, but having friends there definitely made that like so much easier. Right. Definitely took away that stressful part of traveling. Right. So I did Bali, and that was a maze. And then I went to Thailand as well with my friend Leah, and Thailand was nuts. And then after Thailand, I went to Singapore, and Singapore was also nuts. Yeah.
Like the cleanest city or whatever, something like that.
It was beautiful. Like it for real, like was so clean.
You can't chew gum in Singapore.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm glad I didn't.
I could be slightly wrong on. I think it's Singapore, but like
I believe you. They got a lot of rules there.
Yeah, they're really strict.
Yeah, they are. It's very stressful. But yeah, Singapore was really cool. I went up on, in Crazy Rich Asians, the big boat building. I went and ate dinner there. And then we like snuck into the club situation there, and that was like so cool.
That's so fun.
We spent so much money on dinner. I was like, I should not be here right now.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, like I got something so small because it was like, this is a lot right now. We're on our last legs money wise. So because it was like towards the end of my abroad experience, so I was like, Jesus Christ, like shouldn't be here right now. Yeah. But yeah, those trips were really great, and it was really fun to be with other people and to just experience that. And my friend Leah, we had gone to college together, so I had known her before, and it was nice to just like have a familiar face and have someone that I know and was friends with back home to like go and share that with.
Right.
Yeah, it was really great. Bali was definitely like I would go back there in a second, like would honeymoon there. It was literally the most beautiful place I've ever been. And yeah, it was just great.
Yeah, I really want to go out there. We have plans now. Well, tentative plans because one of my best friends just moved to Australia.
Oh, no way.
Because she met a boy.
Oh.
So
Australian boy?
Yes.
Good for her.
On the Tinders.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Good for sister.
But so she just moved out there, and, you know, may the gods be in our favor to let us go to Australia and check it out.
Yeah.
And hopefully do Bali while we're over there.
Yeah.
And
do you know what part she moved to?
she moved to Brisbane.
Oh, awesome. That would be so fun. That's like, yeah, that would be so great. And
it looks beautiful.
You should, I didn't get to go over to New Zealand, but if you had the time, you should definitely do that. I had a couple friends that went there, and they were like, bro, it was literally like Lord of the Rings, like type
quite
vibes.
literally.
Yeah, like so cool.
Yeah, we'll make a big trip out of it if we can in the next like year to 2 years, like take a decent amount of time to like, because once you get over there, like getting there is hard, and then you have to adjust to the time, and then it's expensive to get there, and then once you're there, it's like a little bit easier.
Yeah. And that was the other thing. It was like such a long flight to Australia, like so expensive, so ridiculous. But my tickets to Thailand were like less than $100, like round trip. It was like ridiculous. Like so you could not do that here, obviously.
Not even New York City. I can't fly from Rochester to New York City.
It's literally like $200.
Yeah, for $200. I'm like, I'll drive. Okay, fine.
Yeah, literally.
It's so crazy. Ugh,
it's nuts.
The one thing Trump said he was going to do was lower domestic flight prices, and he didn't do it.
Lies. Yeah, not surprising. Yeah, me too. But what was I going to say? What were we just talking about? Thailand trip.
Cheap air flights.
Oh, yeah. So I think that like once you get to Australia, there's so many places. Like my friends went to Tasmania.
Yes. Like, actually, we were talking about
really?
that. Yeah.
It looked amazing. Like it looked great. You should go. Yeah. You should just like honestly hit them all like in a triangle or something. But yeah, there's a lot of like really unique places. I never thought I would go to Singapore. I never thought I would go to Bali. Like, but I did, and it was awesome.
And you did it, you know, without someone protecting you and like telling you what to do at every minute. And like, that's the cool thing is that, you know, some people will never go anywhere because they don't have someone that, you know, will protect them while they're traveling. And it's like, you just got to do it. You can't let the fear stop you.
You have to do it. And going back to what you're talking about before with like risks and stuff, when I was in Cairns, that like Great Barrier Reef was number one thing on my bucket list. Like, wanted to do that since I was out the womb, like literally my whole life. So that was like a really, really amazing experience. But as a female solo traveler, like it did get stressful, and that made me realize like, one, like it for real is dangerous out here. Like it really is stressful.
Did you have like a situation or?
Yeah, like I don't know. I don't want to like trigger anyone or like upset anyone.
Okay. Well, trigger warning.
Yeah, trigger warning. When I was on the boat in Cairns, one of the instructors, I guess. Yeah. He saw that I was alone, and he asked me if I wanted to snuba, which is snorkeling and scuba diving. It's a combination. And he asked me if I wanted to do it for free because he had like an extra spot or whatever in his lesson. Like he was the instructor. Right. And for snubaing, you go like, it's like 30 feet underwater, and you have these like sandbags attached to you. It's like all very interesting. Like I had never heard of it. But anyway, I was like, sure, dude, like you work here. Like I'm at the Great Barrier Reef. Like this is the best day of my life. Like I'll do whatever. And so obviously, I don't know, you trust him because he works there. Like, sir. and he asked me to like go down into like the basement of the boat because there were like windows there to like look into the ocean and like look at all the fish.
That's cool.
And he was like, we just have to go down here to get some bullshit. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And we went down there, and unfortunately he was like grabbing me and touching up on me and like all this shit. And so that was like really, really scary. And
Were there other people on the boat?
There were other people on the boat, but not in the basement.
Right.
So, but I went down there with him because I was like, you work here. Like you said, I need to go get my snuba shit or whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So that was like really upsetting, but I still wanted to, like do my own thing. And like, I didn't want to let that ruin the day or whatever.
Right.
So I still went snubaing, and I was with these two girls. And we went out into the ocean or whatever, and unfortunately this man did continue to like touch me underwater while I was alone. Like,
damn,
so stressful. Yeah, so stupid.
I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's totally fine. Like, at peace with the situation.
Right.
But I will literally never forget, like, the whole thing happened, and the snubaing itself was very cool. I saw a bunch of little like Finding Nemo fishies and all this stuff, like so cool. Minus the creepy man.
Right.
But I will never forget, we got out the water, and the other two girls that were with me, they like didn't really want to go snubaing. Like, they didn't want to go that deep, so they were kind of like hesitant. And we got out the water after the fact, and they looked at me and they were like, you're so brave. And it literally almost made me cry because they like didn't even know what had happened. Like, they had no idea. And they were just talking about me like snubaing or whatever. Yeah. But I was like, thanks, besties. Yeah. So that part sucked. That was definitely like the worst experience I had overall, like pretty much the whole trip.
Right.
Like my whole time in Australia. And it also sucked because all my friends were at a Billie Eilish concert that day. And I was just like, they're like, guys, I'm alone across the country and had a bad day.
Yeah.
And so that was like pretty disheartening. And it was like a whole thing. I had to literally escape this man.
Right.
I had to
was he like young and like non-intimidating?
Yeah, he was like a normal looking dude. Like, he was probably like 24, 25.
Right.
Like, seemed super nice. Like, had said like, I see that you're like traveling alone. Like, I just want to help you out. And there was another guy on the boat who was the photographer, the underwater photographer. And shout out him, because he like, I think he saw something that happened. And then after that, he was like low key watching out for me the rest of the day, which was really nice. But it's kind of crazy. It turns out that he had actually done a similar thing to my friends a couple months before on a different boat for the Great Barrier Reef. Like, my friends had gone to Cairns a couple months before I did, and they came back with this story like, yo, this dude was like trying to kiss us and like grab us, whatever. I come back with this story, and they're like, wait a second.
What did he look like?
Yeah. We found him. First of all, he had a girlfriend, so boo, big tomatoes to that, sir.
Yeah, tell her.
Yeah, literally. But we found out that it was the same guy, and it was like, how are we from America, in Australia, go to the other side of Australia and get assaulted by the same man? Like, men like really are not shit.
Targeting. Yeah, like he's targeting you. He knows that you're alone, and like, and that's the thing to like look for. And you know, you never know. Like, you feel like you're safe. You feel like it's the employee. Like, oh, like, how could they be the one? And it's like,
and you never know. And that like was a hard lesson to learn that way, but it definitely like made me realize I am, one, not always as smart as I think I am. Two, I am alone and I am small, and men are scary. So like, it definitely made me like realize, I guess, a lot. But it was all fine. And like the Great Barrier Reef, like, I was not gonna let anyone
ruin that,
take that from me at all. So it was like, whatever. I still had a bomb ass time. I didn't get to go in the helicopter though, because there was like a storm that day, so that was sad. But I'm gonna go back.
Yeah,
like, I know I'm gonna go back.
Okay, well, I'll meet you there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like, exactly. So yeah, I think that like that was a big danger, I guess, that I like. Obviously, you know, like, be careful when you're traveling. But I think just like literally don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
Like, if they're an employee, whatever. Like, I don't know. That doesn't make them a good person.
Right.
So.
And it's hard to say that and be like, oh, don't trust anyone. But it's like really like always having your guard up when you're alone, because there's
especially
no
as
one.
A woman.
Yeah,
like,
especially as a woman. And especially as tiny women. Like, we're not tall. We're like very easy to just like throw over your shoulder. Like I'm literally 5 foot and like weigh a sack of potatoes.
Yeah,
like,
literally.
It's scary because you know, I couldn't physically fight my way out of a situation.
Yeah, and thankfully, like, I wasn't in a situation where I had to like escape, but like at the end of the day, he had tried to like get my phone number or some shit, and he had like asked me on a date after. Like, first of all, sir, you literally just groped me in the ocean. Like, no, I don't want to go out with you.
Yeah. Read the room.
Yeah, like my dude. And so I literally like dashed off the boat because I was like, I'm like meeting friends or whatever. And dashed off the boat, got in the first like white van I saw because I thought that it was the van back to my hostel, but unfortunately it wasn't. And so I was stuck in this white van that I like didn't know where it was at for like an hour. And then finally I just like got out at a random stop and was like, okay, I think I'm just gonna like, I don't know, call an Uber or something. Like, I don't even remember what I did, but it was literally like, I felt like I was on like a spy, like escape mission because it was just like, I gotta go. Like,
gotta get myself out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was negative and that sucked. I'm sorry for the downturn here.
That's the, you know, reality of the situation. And like, you know, it sucks. It really does. There's no anything around that. Like, it just sucks that that's what we have to go through. But, you know, you being brave enough to like tell your story and like put it out there is going to give another girl the reason to not trust the employee. You know what I mean? Like, you know, the next little girl that goes and visits, you know, whatever, is going to be like, okay, I'm not going to be alone in a room with this person.
Yeah, just more apprehensive.
Yeah.
Just watch out for yourself. Yeah. Sometimes people aren't looking out for you.
Yeah. And sometimes, you know, when you're traveling alone, you don't have other people to look out for you like you do when you're at home. Or like, you know, sometimes even other girls don't, you know, look out for you. So that's the worst.
Yeah, that's tough. That's definitely tough.
Yeah. So don't just assume that you're safe. Yeah. Is kind of the
pretty much like just like obviously like human beings, like it's good to talk to them and interact with them and like form human connections, especially when you're traveling. But just like be apprehensive and don't trust anybody, like don't trust everybody, I guess.
Yeah. And don't go anywhere alone.
Yeah.
Or like alone.
Yeah, like just use your noggin, I guess. Trust yourself, and if something feels bad, it probably is.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of wrapping up, but do you have any future travel plans? I know we kind of talked about, you know, COVID.
Yeah.
Kind of ruins everything.
Yeah, well, my boyfriend and I were actually supposed to go to Canada next week to see Brockhampton, but unfortunately Brockhampton broke up, so we will not be going to Canada.
Oh, no.
But in May, I'm going to Cape Cod with, that's the timer. I'm going to Cape Cod with my family, and I'm really excited because I used to love going to Cape Cod when I was younger. We used to go camping there, and I'm just
Cape Cod's beautiful.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places. When I was younger, I wanted to move there. It's just so pretty. So I'm really excited for that. I really want to go to Japan.
Oh, me too.
I'm like highly, highly interested in going to Japan.
Same.
That's where I want to go next, but my boyfriend is Greek. His mom is from Greece, so he wants to go back to Greece again soon. So like I'm not gonna say no to that. Yeah. Like I definitely want to go to Greece. But Japan is like the goal right now, and so I'm saving up to take like a 2-week trip there.
Yeah. That's kind of like our plan with going to Australia is like to hopefully hit Japan at the same time and spend like maybe like a week in Japan or something.
Yeah, I knew a couple people when I was in Australia that did fly to Japan for a couple days, and it was not bad. Like it's really not. So
not compared to flying from here.
So it's good to just hit it all while you're like over there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Japan's definitely, all my roommates are like, yo, let's go together. So hopefully in the next like probably 2 years we'll be able to go for.
That's a big trip. That's like not something you should plan last minute. Like
no.
For price wise, but also for like just logistically, especially like a country where like not really much is like English and like the signage isn't always in English and
for sure
stuff like that.
Yeah,
logistically that's a little bit harder to work out.
I would definitely want to plan that trip out like far in advance for like like you said, like logistic purposes, like getting there and seeing stuff and not like knowing what it is and then not knowing what to do. Like I think when we go, we'll probably plan out like a whole itinerary. I also just like want to know what we're gonna do. I know you like to plan out like the whole day.
I'm a planner.
Yeah, I know. So that's the goal, and then back to Australia at some point. And possibly Italy next year.
Ooh.
Oh, and I'm going to Georgia next month too.
Georgia.
Yeah. My 2 cousins live there, and I'm gonna go down and see if I like it there, and possibly skirt my way down there to live in like a year or so. Yeah. So
nice.
That's what I got going on. Do you have any travel plans besides Australia?
Tentative. We will probably be going out to the PNW again soon for a wedding.
Nice.
So I'm super excited for the opportunity to go back there. Anytime I can go to Seattle, like I want to go. Like Seattle's like
I've never been there.
Oh my gosh, I love it there. It's like so beautiful, and like I love the mountains and I love cities, and it's like for me the perfect balance of nature and city,
because you can see the mountains from the city, right?
Yes.
Like,
and it's right on the water, and it's just so beautiful. So low key might go out there in like a month or two for a wedding, and then New York City to see my dad, which is kind of like always just like a thing that happens.
Cool. What part of New York City does he live in?
He lives in Manhattan.
Oh, cool. That's so fun. So it's like bustling all the time.
Yes, it is.
Cool.
It is the place,
you
know. So that's really fun. But other than that, we don't have anything bought. Like I don't have any plane tickets right now, which is like kind of
sad.
Like,
not like her. Who is she?
What am I gonna buy? But I just got a new Frontier credit card, and like it came with like a huge like miles sign up, and I was like, ooh.
Amazing.
I got a free flight somewhere.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Gotta go somewhere fun.
Yes. So nothing crazy, but definitely a bunch of things in the works. All the top Voyage trips I pushed to 2020.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So Iceland next year, and a couple other things.
Cool. That'll be so fun. 2023 will be busy for you.
Busy, yeah. And like this year's been really busy with work. So we were like, okay, we logistically shouldn't be going to all these places this year. And also just selfishly, I want to go new places.
Yeah, for sure.
So
for sure. You got to see new stuff.
Yeah. But thank you so much for coming and chatting about,
all the stuff.
The world of travel.
Yeah,
and
thank you
also
for having me.
Dippy Girl.
Dippy Girl Art, that's me.
Okay, well.
Thank you.
Hit her up. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.